love, prosperity, and eternal happiness to all the family joining us live, as well as those that might enjoy the show at a later time and day. Your attendance is greatly appreciated and noted. I'm your humble brother Tasmaniac, better known under my what you would call my slave name as Sergio Campos, bringing you another edition to the Crumb Snatcher Network under Marriage Licenses Decoded. Now, family, as we expand the Crumb Snatcher brand and allow it to grow, the family will come across various subjects and occult knowledge that the brand will address through its vast league of members that will provide their perspective and intake. Now, we hope that you join us through this journey, not only here on Facebook, but please be sure to follow the network on Instagram on the crumb underscore snatcher underscore, and subscribe on YouTube on the Crumb Snatcher as well. Please be sure to like and share this live feed with all your friends on Facebook, as well as any platform or group you might have access to. Now, if I may ask the family for a big favor, when you do share this live feed, it will be greatly appreciated if you share it under a public status, so that even those that follow you or come to visit your page have full access to the message. Um, we can't forget, family. We can't forget that the message is above everything. And with that said, let us get started. Thank you for watching. And my name, like I said, is Tasmaniac, also known as Sergio Campos. You could follow me on Facebook under Sergio Campos, aka Tasmaniac, and subscribe on YouTube under the same. As well as follow my monthly podcast every second Tuesday of every month in Enhancing Awareness Radio. Now, don't forget to follow this page, as well as send me a friend request to for further previous presentations I've done in the past. If you would like to become a part of any of our Facebook community groups, please search for us under Crumb Snatchers Group and Official Flat Earth Chicago, Chi-Town. Now, please be warned, we accept no trolls will be tolerated on either group, and any of the admins and or moderators, they won't hesitate, family. They won't hesitate to ban anybody and all profiles that are disturbing the group, because we're trying to spread the message, not create commotion. Now, links will be provided to previously mentioned network platforms throughout the live feed in messages, as well as posted in the comments after the show. Once again, I encourage the family to share, like, and subscribe so we can reach as many possible. With that said, please be aware that the network, as well as myself, Brother Crumb, and all its hosts, we're not lawyers, family. All right, we're not lawyers. We're not scholars in said subject, and for that reason, we're not responsible for any and all decisions that may come from the information that we provide. All right. Please keep in mind that all we're doing is providing information so that you may do your own research and come up with your own conclusion. So that you can enhance your awareness and raise your level of consciousness. All right. So, with that said, let us get started. If you give me one quick second, family. Here we go. Now, the marriage license. Now, family, in America, when it comes to the marriage license or marriage, there are procedures and standards for marriage that one must follow. One of those procedures is to acquire a marriage license. Now, many people go about following these steps outlined for marriage according to the state without ever knowing the reasoning or history or even the legal aspect of what they're doing. Any other time, family, any other time, most people sign a legally binding contract, they read it in detail to make sure it matches everything that we're told. Like when you buy a car or I don't know, a house, a cell phone, etc. The question is, why do we not ask the same for marriage licenses? That is the question. So, now, if we look at the word license, is derived from the Latin word licentius, which means lacking restraint or ignoring societal standards or disregard for accepted rules. Now, according to the Black Law Dictionary, the word license is defined as the permission by competent authority to do an act which, without such permission, would be illegal. Now, family, basically, this means the government makes something that was unlawful to do illegal. So they can tell you that if you pay the government money, which is pretty much no different than a bribe, that they will turn their backs and give you a permit that allows you to break the law that they just said it was illegal to do in the first place. Now, right here, family, we have to keep in. I have the etymology of the word and as well as the definition, because we have to remember definitions change throughout time. But when we look at the etymology where the word is rooted from, we're able to come up with the true aspect of what it is that we're looking at. Now, if you look at the word, I have right here on the right hand side, I have it highlighted in a square box where it says a reason or excuse to do something wrong or excessive. The very first one is a permit from an authority to own or use something to do a particular thing or carry on a trade. All right, so it's a permit from an authority figure giving you permission to do something. The second one says formal or official permission to do something. In other words, family, let's look at the etymology before I even go further. Let's read through it. It says late 14C, formal authorization for official permission, permit, privilege, from the old French licence, freedom, liberty, power, possibility, permission. From Latin licentia, freedom, liberty, unrestrained liberty, wantonness, presumption, and so on and so forth, family. The point being that the word itself tells you that what we're doing is asking for permission, family. That's what we're doing. We're asking for permission. But wait a minute. Asking for permission? Explain yourself, Sergio. Explain yourself. Okay, well, let's ask. The first major question people need to ask themselves is, why would it be illegal to marry without the state's permission? This isn't a question that's really ever brought up or addressed because we're accustomed to following the laws and statutes and commandments of men. Now, what we need to do is look back at the history of the marriage license in America, as well as in other places of the world. But since most of us are in America, let's look deep into this and see how exactly it came about and why the government and states enforce this system of enslavement upon the people. Now, family, we're blessed. We're blessed to live in an information age. All right? We've traveled from the age of Pisces to the age of Aquarius. If you're not aware, the age of Pisces is the age of faith and religion. The age of Aquarius, which we are currently on and turning over to, is the age of wisdom and knowledge. And this information is out there so easily at our fingertips, family. So look this up. You can look this stuff up literally as I go through it. And after I get through with the presentation, go do further research and look into it and ask yourself, why is it illegal to get married? Why must we ask permission? And I have and I put a little, because this is a very serious subject, but we gotta keep it, we gotta keep our minds away from low vibrations, because with fear you control the population. So that's the only reason why throughout the presentation you're gonna see several memes to where I try to come up with a way to at least lighten up the mood, because this is something very serious that we're addressing, family. So now, let's address the history of miscegenation laws. All right. Now, with miscegenation laws, we're gonna come into a lot of information. So follow me through it. And like I said, this could be found anywhere, family. So just look for it as I go through with it, or write it down. And as we're going through it, you could either search for it and then later on do some research, or just follow me as I go through with it. Now, miscegenation's laws were the laws that ban interracial marriage and sometimes interracial sex between whites and blacks. Now, in the United States, interracial marriage or cohabitation and sex has since, if I'm not mistaken, 1863 been termed as miscegenation. I have a little two little melanated dudes right here. You know, they pass by with the little white chick, and they both turn to each other. You know, like, dude, yeah, we own that. But so, in other words, family, they pretty. You got jungle fever. This is pretty much what it breaks down to. Let's continue. Now, in North America, now those laws against interracial marriage and interracial sex existed and were enforced in the 13 colonies from the late 17th century onwards, and subsequently in several U.S. states and U.S. territories until 1967. Now, I have right here an explanation of anti-miscegenation laws, and it says in the United States, anti-miscegenation laws, also known as miscegenation laws, were state laws passed by individual states to prohibit miscegenation, nowadays more commonly referred to as interracial marriage and interracial sex. All right. And at the bottom it says anti-miscegenation laws or miscegenation laws are laws that enforce racial segregation at a level of marriage and intimate relationship by criminalizing interracial marriage and sometimes also sex between members of different races. Now, in the picture at the bottom right, these two people right here were very, very important during this time period, and we're gonna touch base into them. Now, who we're speaking about is Loving versus the state of Virginia. The Lovings, okay? You could find this movie everywhere, literally, and it touches a little bit into the subject of miscegenation laws and the change. And this family actually was a family that cemented the change and that brought forth the change of interracial marriages being accepted per se. Now, in the United States, miscegenation laws were state laws that were passed by individual states to prohibit miscegenation. Like I said, nowadays more commonly referred to as interracial marriage or interracial sex, typically defining miscegenation as a felony, family. Yes, a felony charge. Now, these laws prohibited the solemnization of weddings between persons of different races and prohibited the officiating of such ceremonies. All right. Now, if we look in the Loving and Virginia case, which is case 388 U.S. 1, it says it's a landmark civil rights decision of the United States Supreme Court, which struck down all family, which struck down all state laws banning interracial marriage. Now, at the bottom, it says, bottom right-hand corner, it says, bans on interracial marriage violated the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment to the United States Constitution. Loving versus Virginia, 388 U.S. 1 in 1967, is a landmark civil rights decision of the United States Supreme Court, which struck down all state laws banning interracial marriage. All right? Now, let's look into the breakdown of the switch of how, when that case came about and before it being banned, what happened? What was it exactly that took place that all of this, like I said, family, you have to ask yourself, if they're telling you that something's illegal to begin with, and now they're giving you a license or permission to, technically speaking, break the law that they said that it was illegal to do in the first place, we have to know why, family. We have to know why. Now, with that said, let's continue. Let's continue. Now, the word fornication. In the year 1303, it was defined as a sexual act committed with a prostitute. Now, the Latin word fornix, from which fornicatio, the ancestor of fornication, is derived, meant a vault, an ark. It was referred to as a vaulted cellar or similar place where prostitutes ply their trade, thus making it a reference to a sexual act committed with a prostitute. So, upon the states knowing that blacks and whites would still be tempted to marry, instead of just hitting them with just a felony charge, they redefined the definition of fornication, family, and began using it when blacks and whites desired to marry one another or having sex, thus therefore making it a lawful act linked with an unlawful biblical act, therefore bringing condemnation upon two people coming together as a sin and illegal, family, and illegal. Now, once again, I have the etymology definition for fornication for you guys right here. And it says, fornication, lewdness, prostitution, idolatry, from Latin fornicationem, nominative fornicatio, noun of action from past particle stem of fornicari, to fornicate, from Latin fornix, all right, from the word fornix, as I previously stated. And right here on the right, it says, I have the definition of fornix, which it says it can refer to fornix or throat scale, a bowed prolongation of corolla in I can't even pronounce that word, family, but it says fornix of the brain, fornix conjunctiva, a part of conjunctiva, fornix vaginae, also called the vaginal fornix. Now, at the bottom, it says the 1611 King James Version used the term fornication. In Latin, the term fornix means ark or vault. In ancient Rome, prostitutes waited for the customers out of the rain under vaulted ceilings, and fornix became a euphemism for brothels. And the Latin verb fornicare referred to a man visiting a brother. All right? Now, family, this is where it gets a little good. All right? Now, with the majority of the states at the time being racist states and being owners of slaves, this word fornication was then instituted by scholars into the Holy Bible, thus giving it the meaning or definition as a sexual act when occurring outside of marriage, such as any person who has sex without being married by the church. Now, through hiding behind Christ, family, through hiding behind Christ, this racist, idiotic doctrine was brought into practice. And with the new definition of the word fornication being instituted, it now gave the state a cover to continue racism by bringing those of different races into court to be tried for committing the felony act of fornication, thus labeling them as fornicators. And I know a lot of us have heard this plenty of times. And as I mentioned, I have a couple, light in the mood gifts right here. So from a couple of movies, just to bring forth the message a little lighter, because it gets deeper, family. It gets deeper. But let's continue. Now, when the government needed finances, some states began to allowing interracial marriages, or as they labeled it before, miscegenation, as long as those marrying received a license from the state. So, in other words, they had to receive permission to do an act which, without such permission, would have been illegal. Now, remember, in Black Law's dictionary, it points to this historical fact when it defines marriage license as a license or permission granted by a public authority to persons who intend to intermarry. Now, intermarry is defined in the Black Law's dictionary as miscegenation, mixed or interracial marriages. Now, not long after these licenses were issued, family, some states began requiring all people who marry to obtain a marriage license, seeing that they could make a profit of the union of marriage. So in 1923, the federal government established the Uniform Marriage and Marriage License Act. They later established the Uniform Marriage and Divorce Act, because we have to remember, family. I have to look at you in the face, family. I have to look at you in the face. Let's remember one thing, family. These people knew what they was doing, all right? They knew what they was doing. And when they came up with this, they thought about you breaking this contract when you came up with the knowledge of what it really meant. And they said to themselves, oh, we got to have another way to make sure that the power is retained within them. And we're going to get into that. We're going to get into that. But we have to remember that these people thought of everything. So us thinking of divorce, yeah, it's a good way to separate two entities and leaving any liability to only one instead of both. And we're going to get into detail with that. But both of you, because you were already connected to this entity, the government, even upon your divorce, we're still connected to them, family. We're still connected to them, and we're gonna get into that. Let's continue. Now, right here, I have a couple of things. It says since 1837, the proof of marriage has been a marriage certificate issued at the ceremony before then, and it was recorded of the marriage in Paris. The Marriage Act of 1949 reenacted and restated the law on marriage in England and Wales. All right. Now this is important, family, because a lot of us say this word and we have no idea what we're saying. Now the word fuck, yes, the word fuck, family. One origin story for fuck, and it says story, but it could be well researched and seen that this is not a story. This is a fact. Just they're gonna tell you and lighten it up and sugarcoat it, just to make it seem as not true. But the word fuck is that it comes from when sex was outlawed, unless it was permitted explicitly by the king. So people who were legally banging had fornication under consent of the king, on their doors, or fuck. So in their doors, family, in their doors, literally. Hold on. In their doors, family, these people literally had a note that either said fuck or fornication under consent of the king. Because according to the king, they were doing an illegal act and they needed permission. And back then, that was the equivalent of our marriage license now. But let's continue. Now, community properties. Now, community properties, That's where it gets deeper, family. It gets deeper. Now, marriage license is pretty much the same in other states, but there are differences. There's differences in between them. One significant difference is there's 8 Western states that are community property states, and the other states are common law states, including Utah, with the exception of Louisiana, which is Napoleonic state. All right, family. Um, now, if we look here, um, community property, it says community property is a marital property regime under which most property acquired during the marriage, except for gifts or inheritance, the community or communio is owned jointly by both spouses and is divided upon divorce, annulment, or death. Joint ownership is automatically presumed by law in the absence of specific evidence that would point to a contrary conclusion for a particular piece of property. All right. So when we look at that, these states were able to separate the property in a certain way. Other states, it was differently. It was differently, and when we look at that, those states were common law states. All right. Now the marriage license is a secular contract between the parties and the state. The principal party in this secular contract, family. Now the husband and wife are secondary or inferior parties. Now, give me one quick second, family. Now, right, like I said, now the second, the husband and the wife become what is now known as the females, all right, the wives, and we're gonna dig deeper into that. This secular contract is a three-way contract, and the man ends up being the state, and because the contract it has to have two legs to stand on, and the state has to stand on those two legs. So we become the stability for this state. And we're gonna dig deeper into that, family. Right here, I have a definition. It says if you live in one of the above mentioned states, which are on the right hand side. I just split the message. It says you hold yourself out of marriage by telling the community you are married, calling each other husband and wife, using the same last name, filing jointly, income taxes returned. You can have a common law marriage. For more information on the specific requirement, you got to look at this link. But these are the common law states right here on the right hand side, family, which is Alabama, Oklahoma, Colorado, Rhode Island, Iowa, South Carolina, Kansas, Texas, Montana, Utah, and New Hampshire. It says for inheritance purposes only. All right, and we have the same list right underneath as well. Now, there is also, as I had mentioned, one state that is under Napoleonic Code. All right, family. Now, this state is Louisiana. Now, it says right here in the United States, whose legal system is largely based on English common law, the state of Louisiana is unique in having a strong influence from Napoleonic Code and Spanish legal tradition on its civil code. Spanish and French colonial forces quarreled over Louisiana during most of the 1700s with Spain, all right? With ultimately, the 13 colonies succeeding, obviously. But, I have a couple of the Napoleonic Code of the Civil that they portrayed back then, which is one of the articles that they had in the Constitution. Now, that's only for Louisiana, family. We have to keep that in mind. Now, but let's continue. Now, let's look at the timeline of civil marriages in the United States because by 1929, every state in the Union had adopted marriage license laws. And by 1935, all states required licenses except Maryland, which pretty much followed not long after. But if we look at the timeline, we could see at a pattern that they're doing, family. They try to get to separate us from what used to be. And there is one right here, and I didn't write it down in which year it was, but it was, let's see, the Democratic prosecutor. There is one where they took, right here, in 1879, family. It says the moral anti-bigamy act is upheld by the U.S. Supreme Court in the case of Reynolds versus the United States. Now, if you're not, I should have put the definition and etymology in here, but bigamy is the act of somebody getting married to a man getting married to another woman while he's already legally married to another woman. They gave it another name, family, but it's polygamy. All right, and little by little they started taking it away. They started giving the women this perception that the men had more rights than they did, and therefore giving them the idea that the states were giving them the power back, when in reality the one that had most of the power and the decision, the final decision, were the women to begin with. Just imagine, family, if you because family, if there is, it's very simple math actually. I don't care how strong you are. If you have a relationship with one male and per se three women, now I don't care how strong you are, family. Them three women is not gonna allow you to dog walk them. They not. They not. And if they accepted you all of them, to be with you only, then obviously those three are always gonna trump whatever decision this one person makes, especially when it comes to decisions that are very important within the nation that they're building, because this is now a nation, because it's only one person, but there's multiple wives, there's multiple children. You're building a nation now. All right, and we could see during, let's get back to this right here, we could see in this timeline what started to happen when they started to presume as if they were giving the power back to women, and in reality they were taking it completely away from them, and making the man irrelevant and supplementing him with the state. But let's continue, family. Let's continue. Now, let me drink some water, family. Now, in this time like this from 1900s, we could also see different parts where they started giving women certain rights that they already possessed to begin with, because how could you give a right to somebody that they already had it to begin with? It's like you going to ask for like when we go ask for a marriage license, family, and you've been living with this person for an endless amount of years. Why are you asking permission to do something you were already doing to start with? Why are we doing that? Why are we doing that? But we're going to get into further detail about that. Right here I have further details of of what events took place during certain years, and we were able to recognize certain of them where they started taking polygamy away, and they started bringing forth monogamy, and making it as if the man was irrelevant in the relationship. But let's continue, family, because the marriage license, we have to keep. I'm gonna beat this horse, family. I'm gonna beat this horse. The marriage license is an ongoing contractual relationship with the state. Okay, family. it's technically speaking, the marriage license is a business license, allowing the husband and wife, in the name of the marriage, to enter into contracts with third parties and companies, so they could get loans like car loans, home mortgages, and an installment that's in the name of the marriage, because it's necessary. Family, it's not only a secular enterprise, but it is looked upon by the state as a privileged business enterprise, as well as a for-profit business enterprise. So the marriage contract acquires property throughout the existence and over time. It is hoped that it increases value, but if it doesn't, they have a plan for that. There's an app for that, family. There's an app for that. Now, let's continue. This is where we have to pay attention, because what we fail to realize with the procedures for marriage given by the government unto the state is that when you marry with a marriage license, you grant the state jurisdiction over your marriage. When you marry with a marriage license, family, your marriage is a creature of the state. It is a corporation of the state. Therefore, they have jurisdiction over your marriage, including the fruit of your marriage, in which the fruit of your marriage are your children and every piece of property that you own, family. But fuck the property. Your children, family, that's right. They have jurisdiction over your children and your property. Now, would you grant some random person these rights over your kids or your property? But like I said, fuck the property. Would you? Would you? Now, the United States, family, has the highest child incarceration rate in all of the developed world. The border situation is just a wake-up call to what already is going on within the country we live on. Now, the marriage contract bears fruit by adding children. All right, family? If sometimes later the marriage fails and a divorce results, the contract continues in existence, because the divorce is merely a contractual dissolution or an amendment of terms and conditions of the contract. Jurisdiction of the state over the marriage, over the husband and the wife, now separated, continues over all aspects of the marriage, over marital property, and over all children brought into the marriage, family. All of them. And I have a little meme right here on the right where dude talking about some. This isn't who we are as a people. We don't lock immigrant kids in cages. We lock American kids in cages, family. And it has the little flag on the right hand side, highest child incarceration rate in the developed world, with nothing but children locked up like they on the deck. Like they on the deck, family. Our children. Now, is this what you signed up for? Did you know this was what was going on when you went and got this marriage license? Did you, family? Let's move on, because it gets good. It gets real good. All right. Now, when you marry with a marriage license, you're not just marrying your spouse, family, but you're also marrying the state. With this ring, ID wed. Is of the state and is found in most county courthouses in many states. The phrase itself, family, the phrase itself was published by the State Bar Association. Now, they happen to leave out the part about when you repeat your vows, you enter into a legal contract in which there are 3 parties, family, to this contract. All right? That's your spouse, you, and a third being the state you marry in. See, the state and his lawyers know that when you marry with a license, you're not just marrying your spouses. you're marrying the state. Thus giving undue jurisdiction to the state, family. To the state. If you have any belief system whatsoever, religion, whatever, that is irrelevant because the state becomes the man and we live in a patriarchy, not in a monarchy. So in a patriarchy, the man is the one that has full control of everything. And the man is the state marrying his polygamous wives that they're laughing and mocking in our face that they're doing to us, especially us the men. Now, family. Law and Domestic Relation Court calls divorce a dissolution of the marriage because the contract continues in operation, but in amended or modified form. The marriage license contract is one of the strongest, listen family, one of the strongest, most binding contractual relationships the state has on its people. All right, family? The state take the role of the husband, and the couple take the role of the two or more wives to imitate what our ancestors once practiced, which was polygamy. In other words, family, if you a dude like me, and I gotta admit, I went and did the dumbass and went and grabbed because I wasn't woke back then, family. Guess what happened, family? I became the state's bitch. And if you did the same, you became the state's bitch as well. How does that make you feel, family? That these peoples is mocking us and mocking what we used to practice. Now I have a Brother Crumb TV video right here, which is very, very detailed. This goddess right here goes into thorough detail about the science of polygamy. It's very brief, and I'm going to let you watch it.
Biologically, sex is designed for one main purpose: procreation. The female reproductive cycle comes around once a month. For a man, it's every day. For each sexual act, the woman's one egg is matched by the man's 120 million sperm cells. Now let's do some calculation. 120 million sperm cells a day every day, as opposed to one egg a month every month, means that it will take only 30 men to impregnate all the women in the world. This points to one clear fact: a man is, by nature, polygamous. Monogamy and fidelity are unnatural situations promulgated by religious beliefs and social pressures. It's a known fact that women, for the most part, are more emotional than men. But because a man is visual and logical in nature, for him, it's just a physical release that's got nothing to do with love. A man loves his woman by protecting and providing for her. Period.
Now, family, subscribe to Crumb TV. Subscribe to our channels and all the platforms that we provide. We have a plethora of knowledge that we're trying to just spread everywhere. Let it become a virus, family, because it's been too long. Hold on a second. Let me look at y'all. It's been too long, family. They've been stepping on us left and right. And if this message don't get out there, eventually the switch will be complete. And once the switch is complete, we're going to be under a new form of enslavement that we're going to have to figure out all over again. So let's come together, family. Let's come together and put these idiots out that place that they think that they hold in this, that we hold them in this pedestal, and put our women back up there. The melanated woman, which is the real God that they've been hiding from us. Follow us, family, on all platforms that we have. All links and everything is available throughout the process of this video. I encourage you to watch all our videos on YouTube, Instagram, on Facebook. Follow us everywhere. You will find all types of knowledge that we could provide for you guys. Now, let's continue. Let's talk about us, family. When I say us, I mean men. Let's talk about the men. Now, why do you think the man is so sought after for spousal and child support? Just ask yourself, why? What could possibly be going on? Now, The government knows, family, how to break down a man and replace him with welfare and child support as being the child's father. Now, to further cement this doctrine of acquiring a license to marry, the Roman Catholic Church set up seminaries, the seminary schools, to also indoctrinate and empower those who desire to become preachers. All right, family? Uh, 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 which are the authority figures in regards to marriage. All right. Now, most preachers who are under the seminary delusion have no idea, family, that when they are marrying someone with a marriage license, they act as an agent of the state rather than that of the God they're supposedly representing. Now, this religious overtone is recognized by the state by requiring that the marriage must be solemnized either by a state official or by a minister of religion that has been deputized, all right, family, by the state to perform the marriage ceremony and make a return of the signed and executed marriage license to the state, all right? So after you could try it, family, you could try it. Unless you do it in your backyard or something like that, and I don't think there's going to be any pastor that is going to risk their license, which is their permission to be able to be a priest. So I don't think there will be someone that would jeopardize their license to marry you because they could never legalize it. So you could try it. You could do it the way we used to do it before, which was we didn't ask permission for shit. We was already doing it, family. We was already doing it. So we had, celebrations and things we did, but nothing that involved us signing a contract or none of that shit. None of that shit, family. But let's move on. Let's move on. Now, the definition of license is a revocable permission to commit some act that would be otherwise unlawful. This is the Black Laws Dictionary, family, the 7th edition. You could even find it on the internet. You could go to a library and look for it. You could go to a law library. You could find this anywhere, family. Go look at it yourself. Now, so when a couple applies for a marriage license from a state with this definition to marry, family, they're actually, according to the definition we just mentioned, asking for permission to engage in the unlawful, all right, in the unlawful act of marriage, all right? Now, hold on, family. That makes no sense. That makes no fucking sense. You mean by their own definition of license, I have to apply to get permission to do something they say is unlawful to do otherwise? Unless they say it's okay? Yes, family. That's what they're telling us. That's what these fools are telling us. Now, where they do that at? Now, right here, I have the definition of Black Laws Dictionary under a license. And it says, in the law of contracts, a permission accorded by the competent authority conferring the right to do some act which without such authorization would be illegal or would be a trespass or a thwart. All right? And it gives you all the places where you can find it in the Constitution why it's illegal to do so. All right? All these articles and whatever they have within the Constitution. Now it says also written evidence of such permission in real property law and authority to do a particular act or series of acts upon an other's land without possessing any estate therein. Family, we're asking for permission, all right? We're asking for permission. Now, you're probably asking yourself, so why the license then? Well, because the state can regulate that which is licensed, that which is it licenses. Now, by entering into a state-sanctioned franchise or marriage, as a married couple, a couple forfeits their rights to a private sovereign marriage and any ownership, control of other children or property as a result of the marriage license, family. All right. Now, couples who marry under the state-sanctioned marriage license also give up 1/3 family of their property to the state. All right. Should one person die, the government, through the state tax, will demand the surviving party to essentially buy them out. Up to 40% in tax, family. Up to 40% in tax. All right. Now, in a civil law, the marriage is considered to be a for-profit venture or a profit-making venture, even though it may never actually produce a profit in operation per se. And as the wife goes out to the local market to purchase food stuff and supplies for the marriage household, she's replenishing the stocks of the business to the state. Now, in the civil law, the marriage is considered to be a business venture. That is a for-profit business venture, like I mentioned. Moreover, as children come into the marriage household, the business venture is considered to have been born fruit, which is the fruit of that household, that marriage, that business. All right. Now, right here, it's this dude Bernard Baruch. He says we live in a highly organized state of socialism. The state is all. The individual is of importance only as he contributes to the welfare of the state. His property is only is only his as the state does not need it. He must hold his life and his possessions at the call of the state. All right, family? All right? Now, let's continue. If we look, family, if we look into Child Protective Services, Child Protective Services receives its full power and authority to seize children via the marriage license under the ancient legal doctrine of parens patriae. All right. Now, parens patriae means literally the parent of the country or the state, or to state it more bluntly, the state is the undisclosed true parent. All right. Along with this line, a 1930s Arizona court case state that parents have no property right in their children and have custody of excuse me, family, and have custody of their children doing good behavior at the sufferance of the state. All right, family. This means, family, that a parent may raise their children and maintain custody of their children as long as they don't offend the state. But if they in some manner displease the state can step in at any time, family, at any time, and exercise their superiority status, and take custody and control of its children, not your children, of its children. The parents are only conditional caretakers, family. Thus, the doctrine of loco parentis, right? The term in loco parentis is Latin for in place of the parent, which refers to the legal responsibility of a person or an organization to take on some of the functions and responsibilities of a parent, which is originally derived from the English common law. It is applied in two separate areas of the law. All right. Now, right here on the top right hand side, I have a brief summary of pretty much what I really just explained to you guys, which pretty much boils down to, family, legally kidnapping our children. This is what these people are doing, and we're allowing them. We're allowing them, and we're letting them. All right. Now let's look into this institution of CPS, Child Protective Services, family. All right? And I don't want you to keep calm. I want you to rise up and reclaim your children, because they're being stolen from us, family. They're being stolen from us. And it's time for us to know the truth. All right? Let's continue. Now, the origins of the parents patria, of the doctrine parents patria, and the law can be traced to the medieval and late medieval English chancery courts, where it played an important role in maintaining the structure of feudalism. Now, the king had a royal prerogative to act as a guardian to the persons with legal disabilities, such as infants, idiots, and lunatics. All right, family. Now, Chancery, as an agent of the monarch, had a duty to maintain the orderly transfer of feudal duties from one generation to another, and ensure that there would be someone available to perform these duties. And the concept of parents patria was usually invoked in connection with these problems of property or guardianship. All right, family? Now, in today's world, the Department of Human Services functions as the chancery or agent of the monarch, which is the state. All right, family? It's a state. Now, in orderly transferring the feudal duties of labor to generate tax based on future generations, family. That's all they're doing. They're making sure that they're gonna monetize everything from start to beginning, even with the future generations. Now, right here, I have on the left hand side, I have a couple of meanings and definitions of parents patria, and on the right hand side, you could also find look at the Court of Chancery. All right, which it is today what it was before, family. All right, nothing has changed. Nothing has changed. The only thing that has changed is the perception that they've provided us with. And since we never ask no questions, then we just go along with it. All right, family. Now let's continue. Now, the taxes base, that tax base is known as the full faith and credit of the American people, and is pledged against every bond. It's a state bond issue. It's a loan. It's a loan. All right, family. Now, the people, it's a loan that the people vote to approve, pretty much. Now, birth certificates, marriage certificates, and automobile certificates or titles of such are just some of the commercial paper the state government uses to collateralize their debt to the banks for all the bond issues that the people vote for. Now, you could look and research, family, your 144 Strawman account, which is it's a very real document. It involves your Social Security. Depending on how old you are, you might be aware that our Social Security cards before it said Social Security card account. The word account number was there before in our Social Security cards, because it actually led to a certain account. And upon your death, throughout the process of your life, it doesn't matter what you do, whether you do good or you get in debt, or it doesn't matter. They're making money of you one way or another. But this account is collecting the benefits and the downs of all things that you're doing throughout the process of your life. And upon your death, if you don't claim this account, take a wild guess who gets all this money that you you work for with your sweat and tears all throughout the process of your life, because we're not aware of it. Now, you could access this account today, this very day, but I must warn you, family, that this is not something that you're meant to access or even have knowledge of. So if you decide to access this, be ready to go. You can't stay in this country. They're not, because you're no longer a citizen. That will be the first thing that they take away from you. Will be your citizenship, because You don't recover the funds that make you a citizen and that gives you the rights of living in this land that is owned by somebody else. We think we own our land, but we don't own a damn thing. We don't own a damn thing, family. Now, if we look into it, we come to find these things out, and that 144,000 strawman account is a subject that I'm gonna do a presentation in the near future in regards about. But let us continue, family. Now, we're the ones, family, who give Child Protective Services permission to steal our children. All right, since the state can regulate that which it licenses, Child Protective Services has blossomed into a money-making machine by snatching shorties and receiving millions of federal dollars for them. Now, a number of groups have tried to reform this shady practice, family. But if I recall correctly, it was a California politician who caught media attention in the summer of 2011 when he said that if elected, he would expose how local governments were amassing billions of dollars in annual reimbursement in exchange for what amounted to legal abduction of children. All right? Now, you go find out what happened to dude, but I'm pretty sure it doesn't take rocket science to what happened to dude, if he got elected or didn't, and if he even got a chance to get elected. But let's remember, family, that the state takes the role of the husband, all right? And the couple take the role of two or more wives to imitate our ancestors, what they once practiced, again, which was polygamy, family. It was polygamy, all right? And there is plenty of information available where it even tells you that even the churches of now, they used to practice polygamy, but all this information has been hidden and kept occult. And now we hear the word occult and we think, ooh, scary, ooh, devil, ooh, get away, don't look at that. And occult just means hidden, family, all right? And it's not something demonic or whatever it is that they're perceiving us that it is. But let's continue, family. Now, most people are not aware, family, how much profit many of these services provide the county. Now, John Van Dor told a San Diego newspaper this one time. Now, these profits are hard to ignore and even more difficult to pass up. Counties can bring in thousands of dollars in excess revenue for each child in foster care, family, which means that they have more incentive to remove children from their families than to keep families intact. As such, our country government is is a major factor in the dismantling of families and or destruction of children's lives. Not protecting them or taking care of them, family. Now we need to wake up. We need to wake up because this is serious, family. This is an emergency. This is our children we're talking about. Now I have children and I intend for them to know this information. So somehow maybe because we're the ancestors now, family. They're the ones that are going to want answers when they get older of what the fuck we did and why didn't we tell them nothing. So we got to start it so they could stand a chance, family. So they could stand a chance, all right? Now, you see, family, a state which has strong, responsible families with good morals and understanding of rights and wrong and the time to focus on solutions to state of business would never be able to get away with a massive confiscatory taxation and license scheme like the government is pulling, as well as all states enjoy perpetrating against its citizens today. Now, the Child Protective Services receives its authority to kidnap children from the child's parents the moment a marriage license was applied for and granted for. The child is placed in a guardian ward relationship with the state, where the parents function merely as a custodian. Family. That's all we are looked at as a custodian. That custodial relationship may be terminated by the authorizing state agency whenever it declares the child is not being raised according to the standards established by the state. By the state, family. They have everything set up in place according, just in case if we decide to wake the fuck up. Now, states can, if we look at the definition of child abuse, states can sue the parents on behalf of the child based on the state's rule of civil procedures, which states such as one of the states of Maine. All right, that's one of the states which states an executor, administrator, or guardian, or bailey, or trustee of an express trust, or a party with whom or in whose name a contract has been made for the benefit of the other, or a party authorized by a statute may sue in that person's own name without joining the party for whose benefit the action is brought. So in Maine, they can sue on behalf of the child without even using the child's name, because you, the parents, gave the state guardianship over the child with the marriage license, making the state a trustee of an expired trust for at least the first 140 years of America's existence. Family, there was never a child protective services protecting our children, since assault on a child was already illegal, and it was dealt with by the county sheriff, and it was the community that brought forth the county sheriff. There was no need for this, never. But we were told otherwise, and we went along with it. Family. Now, if a child needed to be removed to a safer environment, family, he was brought to one of many privately funded homes, which had to compete for many from the private sector. This competition forced the homes to maintain extremely high standards, and due to the limitations of funds, resolving family problems and reuniting the child with his family was not a primary of importance. So that broke up the families in another way. Family. Now, another way to look as the marriage license contract with the state is a contract of adhesion. Family. A contract between two disparate and unequal parties. Again, a flawed contract. All right. Such a contract with the state is said to be a specific performance contract as to the privileged. All right. Duties and responsibilities that are attached are most of the time irrelevant. Now remember, a state saying your marriage is not recognized does not mean it is not real. It just means he has no jurisdiction or power over anything dealing with the unity of the two people. This means they cannot take your children or involve themselves with your affairs. You do not need a piece of paper to get permission to do what you already were probably doing, family. You don't have to. Follow a process, document it, and have it witnessed. And that's more than enough, family. That's more than enough. You don't need no document stating that they gave you permission. You never had. You never will. All right? It's just that simple, family. One second. Technical difficulties. But in conclusion, family, all right? I want to thank everybody. Everybody. Let me see, who do I have? How much of the family I still have with me? I want to thank everybody for joining us and giving me the opportunity to give you a small piece of my perspective And I truly hope to see everyone in future shows. All right. I'm humbled at the opportunity, and again want to thank Brother Crumb for granting me the conscience and granting me and the conscience community the opportunity to be a part of the journey and be able to provide my perspective on subjects that are of interest to me. I encourage everyone to follow the Crumb Snatcher network in all platforms and hosts. We have a plethora of amazing knowledge and awareness with subjects that have been occult to us for a very, very, very long time, family. Feel free to browse to our timelines and just be ready to be amazed. We hope that you join us through this journey, not only here on Facebook, but please be sure to follow the network on Instagram under Crumb underscore Snatcher underscore and subscribe on YouTube under Crumb Snatcher as well. Please be sure to like and share this live feed with all your friends on Facebook as well as other platforms or groups you might have access to. If I might ask again, family, the same favor when you do share this live feed, it would be greatly appreciated if it's shared under a public status. So, like I said before, even those that follow you or come to visit your page have full access to the message, which we can't forget is above everything else. Uh, um, Now remember, you can also follow me on Facebook under Sergio Campos, aka Tasmaniac, and subscribe on YouTube under the same. Links are available within the comments under today's scheduled show. Until next time, I bid you farewell, and I send all my love and positive vibes to all the family. I now, one quick second, family. I now leave you, family, as I arrived. In peace. I appreciate you.